Todd here, and I'm going to show you in this little video just how to feed your dog. Let's do it. So preparation is going to be key, and what that means is that you're really just going to want to make sure your dog isn't crowding you while you're preparing their food. And so to do this, in order to essentially get them to move away from you, you're going to want to do something. It's really simple actually, and let me show you. So we're going to come over here to where the food is. Open up the thing here, and Leia loves food, so she's gonna be like, hey, what you doing? You open up the food bowl. And I'm like, yeah, I'm opening up the food bowl. You're a little too close, right? So I want her to move back. I just get square in front of her and push her back with my body. Once she moves away from me, okay, to a reasonable distance, I'm just gonna go back to doing what I'm doing. Okay, if she keeps coming and crowding, I'm just gonna keep pushing her back. If she keeps doing it and she's pushy, and you have a dog that's pushy at home, put on a leash, and then you can use the leash to reinforce them staying back. Okay. The other thing you can use is a place command that makes it a little bit easier for them to stay in one spot and not kind of inch forward if they're doing that kind of thing. But practice their impulse control. They should have a good enough sit-stay also, so you can also ask them to sit and stay if you need to, right? And if it's good enough. So try that out. Hopefully it'll help. One thing I like to do every time I feed my dogs, or any dogs really, is I add water to it. So I add water to make, especially if you have any kibble in there, it makes it a little bit softer and a little bit easier for the dog to eat, and it maybe even adds a little bit of flavor, you know, a little bit of broth, like a little soupy stew kind of thing. It makes it taste a little bit better. The other thing I really suggest is that you use something raised up, especially if your dog is a tall dog, or if they're, you know, medium-sized dog even, something reasonably like raised up so they don't have to bend down all the way to get the food from really far off the ground, right? So off the ground, they eat this way, where they're constantly kind of working against gravity. It can contribute to their stomach being turned over, which can be a really serious thing. It's something that happens inside them, where literally their intestines gets twisted up, and it can be super serious. They can definitely die within, you know, a very short period of time if you don't get them to the vet right away. If you notice them being weird, especially after they eat like that, and if they do vigorous exercise too, that can also be a contributing factor to their intestines kind of doing that kind of weird thing. And then we're going to make sure that our dog waits. So this is going to be a big part of the feeding, probably the biggest part of the feeding for your dog, that you're going to want to instill some structure in their feeding time. Okay, and you can see Leia knows this very well. I could walk around, I could go behind her, whatever I want, she's gonna stay there, because we do this every single time that she eats, and so it's routine for her. Now, the way to teach her, or the way to teach your dog, is by putting yourself in between the bowl and the dog. Okay, and so say I have the bowl in my hand. Okay. And some dogs are going to have a hard time with this. If they have too hard of a time and they just can't do it, then don't do it. Okay, wait for them to calm down first. But if your dog is able to calm down in a reasonable amount of time, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to stand in front of them. Okay, and wherever we're going to put the bowl is going to be on the other side of us. Okay, and we're going to essentially put the bowl down. If we put the bowl down and they get up from their sit, of course, you got to put them in that sit first. But if they get up after you put them in that sit, you're going to just lift that bowl back up. Okay. And so if bowl goes down, if butt comes up, bowl comes back up. Okay. So bowl only stays down if butt stays down. Okay. If butt comes up, bowl comes up. So the bowl does what the butt does. Okay. So once you get to the point to where your dog can stay there while you put the bowl down, okay, so remain in between them if they're having a hard time. But what you can start to do once they get the understanding of what you want is when you remove your yourself, so they have that extra little temptation. So it's them essentially holding back. It's them doing that impulse control on their own. And then we're gonna release the dog. So we're gonna use the same word that you use to release them from positions, release them out the door. I use B-R-E-A-K. And so I'm gonna say that. Break. Okay, and then the next thing when your dog's eating, make sure that they have privacy. Make sure that nothing's interfering with them. Make sure that there aren't other dogs coming up. Make sure you're not putting your hand in there to try to test them, their temperament. Even a dog that's really solid and that doesn't have issues with you putting your hand in their bowl, you can create issues by messing with them while they eat. So don't mess with your dog while they eat because they don't like it. It's not something that you're going to want to do frequently. This is not a good way to socialize your dog, to hands being in their bowl or whatever. Resource guarding issues is not fixed by putting your hand in the dog's bowl. It makes it worse. Okay, I'm going to repeat that. It makes it worse when you put your hand in your dog's bowl. Okay, if your dog will let you do that, cool, but don't do it. Don't do it. It's not fair for the dog. So that's just a little bit about how you can feed your dog. Hopefully that helps a little bit to get your dog to eat if they're not eating as much or every time consistently. It really does help to make them wait for them to want to eat their food a lot of times. Also, combined with the watering of the food, so putting water in your dog's food could be a game changer. For some dogs it is. They might be a little bit weirded out at first if they haven't had that before, but they will like it. I know it. There's really not a dog that doesn't like that because it just, again, tastes better. It's easier to eat, and they don't mind the texture. Like the soggy texture isn't something that dogs are like, ooh, it's soggy, I want it crunchy. Like, it's just not a thing. So put a little water in there, make your dog wait and do a little work before they eat. And then even better yet, if you didn't do this, okay, you should first of all never leave your dog's food out and free feed. Don't do that. That's the worst thing that you could do, because why do that? Spend the freaking 5 minutes it takes to feed your dog and to get a little bit of interaction with them. If you don't do that, I'm mad at you. That's not very responsible dog ownership. Okay, in order to be the best dog owner that you can be, okay, feed your dog. Don't leave food out. Okay? It really helps to build your relationship and set you as the leader, as the provider of the food. And so, make them work a little bit too. Fulfill them, just like kids, just like us humans. We want to be fulfilled. Okay, we just get handed things all the time. We aren't as fulfilled, right? And we're not as happy. And so, make sure your dog is happy by fulfilling them. And fulfilling them means making them work a little bit, making them engage with them a little bit, right? So it's not necessarily about making them do it, but rather maybe just doing it and allowing them to do it, because it's not something that they're going to resist, especially if you're doing it in a positive way and you're really bringing energy and focus to the session when you're engaging with them. So engage with your dog by feeding them. Simple, right? And this will hopefully help you build your bond a little bit better. You'll improve your life, you'll improve your dog's life, and you'll always sniff on.